Amara Wilson traveled 3 weeks, her trunk packed with hope. 6 months of passionate letters had promised her a new life far from the city's prejudice. But the moment Amara stepped onto the Riverbrook station platform, everything collapsed. "You're Amara Wilson." Harold Pierce, her intender, swallowed hard, his face pale. The words he could unsay hung in the air. "You didn't mention that you were... black." Está married. His bouquet of flowers, wilting. "This isn't going to work. Couldn't you have warned me?" Amara stood tall, gathering her dignity. "Warn you that my feelings are as real as yours. You never asked." Harold, a local merchant, glanced around nervously. A black woman being publicly rejected by a white man in this small town was an irresistible spectacle. He offered her crumpled bills for a few nights, lodging. "I can pay for your ticket back. The community here, my business." Amara's entire savings were gone. "I have nowhere to go back to." That's when a deep voice sliced through the tension like thunder. "Is that your solution, Pearson? Throw money at the problem and hope it goes away." Alexander Maxwell, a tall, authoritative figure in simple but expensive clothes, stepped forward. This was no ordinary farmer. He was the owner of half the region's productive land. Maxwell fixed Harold with a chilling stare. "It becomes my concern when I watch a man I've known for 15 years behave like a coward." He turned to Amara, his gaze softening slightly. "Miss Wilson, I offer you lodging at my home until you decide your next course of action. I have guest rooms. My housekeeper would be delighted for company." Harold visibly choked. "Maxwell, you can't be serious. What will people say?" Alexander smiled, a cold, unfeeling expression. "The same people who depend on my land for their livelihood. I'm curious to hear what they would say." 155 Mystery Intel. Visual of Amara in a grand library, pulling out old documents. The Maxwell estate was a stately Victorian mansion, not the simple farm Alexander had described. Amara, a former teacher, accepted the offer. Suspicious but practical, she knew kindness from strangers often had a price. Alexander, the son of an abolitionist, was an eccentric and Riverbrook too. Rich to be ostracized, too different to be fully accepted. Over dinner, Amara revealed she was a teacher, forced to restart after her school for girls of color closed. But Amara kept a secret hidden in her trunk, an inheritance from her great-grandfather, a freedman named Joseph Freeman. This inheritance included ancient documents that could change the fate of certain lands in the Riverbrook region. Amara spent the following days in the mansion's vast library, not reading literature, but immersing herself in local history and legal documents. She was looking for something very specific. The town was buzzing. Amara's presence at the Maxwell mansion was the scandal of the year. A week later, Harold Pierce showed up, hat in hand, his false concern barely masking his fury. "The community is concerned, Maxwell. It's not proper for an unmarried woman, especially when she's black, to remain here." Alexander let Amara answer. "My plans have changed, Mr. Pierce. I intend to remain in Riverbrook indefinitely. Mr. Maxwell has kindly offered me the position of librarian." Harold was furious. "You can't be serious." Alexander shrugged. "My library has never been in better hands." What Harold didn't know was that the library contained not just books, but also land records and the complete legal history of the region. Amara, the librarian, was quietly piecing together a hidden truth. Riverbrook's founding families, including the Pierces, had built their fortunes on land that did not rightfully belong to them. 2 weeks later, the Riverbrook town hall was overflowing. Harold Pierce, red-faced, was rallying the founding families against Maxwell's audacity. The doors opened. Alexander entered, followed by Amara, who walked with the dignity of a queen. "Miss Wilson is not here as my guest," Alexander announced, his voice echoing, "but as the legal representative of a matter that deeply concerns all of you." Harold laughed nervously. "Legal representative? A woman of color with no authority." Amara methodically opened a briefcase. "Actually, Mr. Pierce, I have legal power of attorney as a direct descendant of Joseph Freeman. The name struck like lightning. Older faces paled. Amara presented yellow documents. Here is the original deed signed by the governor in 1866, granting Joseph Freeman, my great-grandfather, the land that today constitutes approximately 60% of Riverbrook, including your store, Mr. Pierce. She continued, calm and lethal, detailing how Joseph Freeman was driven out by attempted lynchings in 1870, and how the founding families illegally divided his land. Alexander confirmed the records in his library were deliberately incomplete until Amara found the cross-references. A state attorney entered, confirming the documents were authentic and a lawsuit was formally filed. Harold lunged at her. You planned this from the beginning. Amara stood unperturbed. No, Mr. Pierce. I was a lonely woman seeking companionship. It was your immediate rejection of me that made me realize you would judge my great-grandfather for the same reason you judged me. The color of our skin, she concluded. I'm not here to ruin you. I'm going to right a historical wrong in the fairest way possible. Justice isn't revenge. Alexander, it's restoration. 6 months later, Riverbrook was transformed. The Freeman Foundation, established through Amara's proposal, was funding scholarships and community projects. Harold Pierce had left town, selling his properties for a fraction of their worth. His former store now housed Riverbrook's first public library. Alexander and Amara were married, their home now the Freeman Maxwell house. As they watched the sunset over the city that had once rejected her, Alexander took her hand. The best decision Harold Pierce ever made was to reject you. Amara smiled. He couldn't imagine sharing his world with someone outside his narrow view. In the end, that's exactly what destroyed him. I built something beautiful and lasting. His rejection is nothing more than a footnote in this much larger story. If Amara's story of overcoming prejudice and achieving justice with dignity touched your heart, hit the subscribe button. We bring you more inspiring stories that prove our differences are not obstacles, but sources of strength that can transform entire communities. Peace.